I'm Nolan Beilstein, and welcome to another episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing, a podcast where I interview young people about their journeys in manufacturing, how they intend to influence the industry, and what they are looking for from an employer. For this episode, I welcome 22-year-old Oscar Ramirez, a senior quality control microbiology technician at life sciences company MilliporeSigma. Ramirez was introduced to the pharma industry as a senior in high school when he enrolled in Bio Plus, a dual-enrollment course provided by Kansas City, Kansas Community College. After graduating high school, Ramirez decided to pursue a career in the biomanufacturing field and earned his first job as a Dry Powder Media Formulator at MilliporeSigma. Ramirez was later promoted to a senior quality control microbiology technician, where he currently completes auxiliary functions and assists scientists with various work, including preparation, laboratory cleaning, and biohazard removal. Before we hear from Ramirez, please make sure to like and share this episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing. To view previous episodes, visit manufacturing.net. If you are a member of Gen Z and would like to discuss your experience in the manufacturing industry, please get in touch with me, Nolan Beilstein, at nolan@ien.com. Well, Oscar, thank you for joining Gen Z in Manufacturing. I wanted to start off the episode by asking how your high school presented the Bio Plus program to you.
Thank you, Nolan. So the Bio Plus program, I was sold by a cheeky counselor. So it was my zoology teacher as well as my counselor that said, "Hey, you're pretty good at science. Is this something you want to pursue?" And I was like, I mean, I'm not particularly sure if that science is the route I want to go, but I would be willing to see if I can exhaust any opportunities. So it was a very hard course. I'm not going to say it was easy. There was a lot of grueling nights, similar to what college consists of. So it was a great entry point. So that's how I was first introduced to it. But due to short staffing, we only had one instructor, which was Angela Consani. She's amazing. She taught me everything, and she continued to make sure that science is something I wanted to pursue. She kind of defined that skill that I have in the sciences.
So what was cheeky about the pitch? He said,
Uh, so the cheeky part, I say it was cheeky, just the way it was presented. My zoology teacher was like, "You're gonna gain so much experience, you're gonna be able to go into manufacturing, you're gonna be able to land a role, a job." And at the time, no one has done that. And it was like, well, it's setting me up for success, essentially. It was honestly a highlight from all the people in the courses to the professor. It changed the way I see science and school in general. It was very entertaining. It was very fulfilling.
maybe as you've talked to peers and people your own age who've gone
Mhm.
through high school, do you get the sense that high schools and that educational system understands all the options for students to pursue once they graduate high
Mhm.
school?
I think it's evolving. I wouldn't say that there's a definitive factor that it's a cookie and cut for every student, and I think it's continuing to develop. As we speak now, there's probably a student out there that is in English one and they think they want to be a business major, but it turns out they're not really into business. Or like my experience, I went into science thinking science is something I want to continue for the rest of my life. But as I continue to progress in my career, I realized that maybe science isn't the field I want to stay in, and maybe venture out to business, but with collaboration in science. So it's hard to say. I know it's personal experience. Like if I didn't gain the experience in my career after 4 years of being in my career, I would say, you know, if I went the traditional route with college, I would be out of college with a degree and be in science, and I wouldn't know if I would have that same fulfillment as I do currently. In my current career that I am in, I want to pursue my business degree. I'm currently still working towards my associates in science, but uh, with the career that I have built, I have a background in science. I have 4 or 5 years of experience in manufacturing, biomanufacturing, the pharma industry, and with that, it will help me build my skill set in business sector, for example.
So you mentioned that the pandemic
Mm.
disrupted the BioPlus program. How did it
Yes.
affect your progress within that program?
The transition to online was very difficult. Me being very interpersonal, enjoying communication, in person interactions, it was difficult. It felt blank. It didn't get that fulfillment. There wasn't that interaction that the school system provided prior. So it left me blank and hollow, kind of. That makes sense. So it was hard to push myself after that. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do until this one morning. I get this email from my professor, Angela Kasani. She started this. Well, there was this. There's work. What is it called? Workshop for industry and the pharma sector, and we. It wasn't we. It was more like she reached out to students, and it would be virtual. And I was like, okay, I'll join, see what's up. I I missed it, of course. I'm getting trying to get better at time management, but I missed it. And I didn't make it, but I looked through the industries that were involved. There was Thermo Fisher, there was Eli Lilly, I believe, all these big pharma corporations that were involved. MilliporeSigma was in there as well. And I unfortunately missed it, but I reached out to one of the representatives of MilliporeSigma, and they said, "Hey, there's this facility at Lenexa that is having an open workforce kind of building event. If you want to come through and see if you would be a good fit for our facility, please stop by." And there's this manufacturing production manager. Her name was Erica. She interviewed me, and through that interview, we had these really good connections. And I was learning more about her and her postgrad degree. And I was talking to her about how I ventured through the high school system with my dual enrollment course. And I showed her my infamous lab notebook that we had created in the BioPlus program. This lab notebook it showed her that I was responsible of GMPs, for example, GLPs, being able so good manufacturing practices, good laboratory practices as well, and as well as I'm able to pipette properly, a skill set that is very needed in a lab, and I have good understanding of aseptic technique. And I showed this to her, and she was like, "Whoa, you're only 18. How'd you gain all these skills?" And she's like, "You know what? Here, sign this, and the person behind you, she'll help you." And then I was offered a job at MilliporeSigma as a manufacturing, well, a manufacturing tech one.
Do you agree with what the biomanufacturing industry considers as qualified?
I do not. I continue to fight this stigma that there is. You do not need a bachelor's degree in order to understand aseptic technique or in order to understand how to pipette. These are all skill sets that I learned at the age of 17. And I was pretty adept in it and adequate enough to be in a lab setting. I work closely with my previous professor, Angela Kasani, that led the BioPlus program when I was enrolled in it. She started her own company called BCSI, Bioscience Core Institute. Sorry, and she has this program. It is meant to kind of break that paper ceiling that the biomanufacturing, the pharma industry has. It's these credentials, these micro credentials, she calls it, and it will be used on a resume. And you get tested through her company, and these tests consist of all skill sets that the pharma industry is looking for. Instead of having like this big, very broad degree that says you understand bioscience, for example, this is very finite, and it'll kind of journey you into a certain avenue if you want to go. And to answer your point, I think that the pharma industry is overqualifying some of the job postings. Like I have become a senior technician in the microbiology, and I still have the same qualities that I started with. I just have more experience now. I'm continuing to pursue my degree, but I still don't have it. So that's to show you that I'm able to break through. I think many other people can do the same as well.
So you've been with MilliporeSigma for almost 4 years, right?
Correct. Yes.
What about the company in your time there has made you want to stay?
Um, it's the experiences I'm gaining. They continue to invest in me. They continue to give me opportunities that I'm not sure if many other companies would provide me. I continue to progress in my career with my 4 years at MilliporeSigma. I've jumped through four positions, and I keep going up and up while I progress in my career with MilliporeSigma. It's just that investment into you. And it's the people there that are always willing to say, "Hey, Oscar, this is available. Would you like to be part of it?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course. It's gonna uh, excel my growth." And that's what I enjoy currently at MilliporeSigma is that continued growth. Um, the benefits are great as well, but it's really the people there that are keeping me there.
And how have they given you opportunities to earn these promotions
Mm.
you're talking about?
So gain more skill sets. Even though I don't have a bachelor's degree, they continue to kind of see the blurry line and see what I'm able to qualify for. So there's certain assays that are required to have a bachelor's degree, but we can be a little bit more lenient on some of them. And so they teach me these assays, these testings, and they are showing me, hey, I know you don't have your bachelor's degree, but you have all this experience. And how about we teach you the IDing process, for example, of our bacteria in our lab, our molds. Okay, you're doing pretty well at that. All right, let's see if you can do this release testing. Oh, you're doing really well at that as well. All right, let's see if you can do this other release testing. And it's just continuous. Um, and the more I progress in my career, the more they're like, wow, you're doing an amazing job, and they're giving me more responsibility. So that's the amazing thing that I love. I now, as a senior quality control technician, I am gaining more and more experiences, and now I have a title to prove it. It's usually you need many more years of experience in order to have the senior role, but luckily, I have a great team that sees my contribution to the team and is that believes in me and thinks that I should have a representative title to go with it. They would give me a associate scientist if they could, but due to the way we have the parameters, they aren't able to without a degree.
Are there ways that manufacturers and companies can assist kids that are doing college at the same time they're working aside from just paying for their school?
I think, yeah, the flexibility, honestly. I know that's really hard to say, but giving the students the flexibility. If, let's say, there's a class in the morning and it's a class that I need to graduate and it's only done in the morning, my job being able to say, hey, no, that's totally fine. You can come in the evening or afternoon, or you can work from home. And whenever you get done with your class, just go ahead and clock in and do what the task that you're appointed to do. I just having that flexibility is the biggest thing. I think it's that investment. It's that continuous like, oh, you're bettering yourself. Yes, we'll find a schedule that suits you.
So you're talking about how you don't really disagree with what the industry considers qualified, and there's multiple routes
Hmm.
to gain experience. So, how
Hmm.
can manufacturing companies work with educational institutes to promote a route that isn't the traditional 4 year bachelor's and potential
Hmm.
grad school?
I want to say it's similar to the apprenticeships that we have currently for our like HVAC, our electrician, our plumbers, something along the lines of that. I think it would be a great avenue. I was going to do internships, but due to COVID, I wasn't able to do it. But I was lined up for some internships, and I think gaining those lab experiences and being able to say, hey, I have these. I've had I don't know, let's say 20 hours of lab experience, and I'm willing to learn more. I think something like that, just to get an entry point and try to break through the system. And like for me, for example, I don't really want to pursue lab or bench work for the rest of my career. but it's definitely an experience I'm glad of having. Um, the kind of exposure into this, it's very fulfilling, and I enjoy it currently, but it's not something I want to pursue for the rest of my career. And being exposed to that, I'm very proud to have, and uh, I think that is the biggest thing. Being able to uh, kind of be available, if that makes sense.
You mentioned that you live in a low-income county. What
Mhm.
what what more can manufacturing employers do to connect with young talent in these areas?
I starting young. I know, like the curiosity, like the labs. I know it's harder in these lower income communities. It's kind of harder to break through, but I feel like making a small investment, whether that be, having a food shelter and on the side, providing like a lab kit, and then providing like videos, and then piquing an interest of a child somewhere. I think something along the lines of that. Similar to what like Google is doing with their coding academy. I think that is it's very great. It's starting these children, and then it's showing them computer science, and it's getting them super interested. And these kids are coding extremely well by the time they are graduating high school. And I feel like if we have something like that, it's not hard to teach a child how to, for example, pipettes. If I told, uh, I don't know, a 12-year-old and I showed them, give me like a month to show them how it works, I'm sure they can convert from milliliters to microliters instantly. And being able to understand that, it's not very difficult. And I think sparking that curiosity and having them to continue to build up on those skills is one way we in the industry can, kind of spark the curiosity and then make them uh, kind of have that interest of pursuing a STEM career.
So, if you could address
Mm,
manufacturing employers who are looking
mm,
to attract Gen Z talent, whether
mm,
these kids know about the opportunities or they don't, like what can you tell employers about Gen Z? Like what gets them excited and what makes them
mm.
motivated to want to work for you?
Right. And that is something that I'm continuing to learn about. As bad as I want to say, it's just as easy as investing in them. I think it's also kind of the financial aspect of it. Are you going to give me the benefits to live my life? Are you going to provide great health insurance? Is this going to be temporary work, or is this going to be something that, well, I can build my career out of, kind of having that structure built out for someone that, let's say, doesn't know where to go. If you invest into someone that, like for me, I was lucky enough to be invested in early. But honestly, I could have been part of the stat, a statistic. I could have been someone that was unemployed and not having a fulfilling life. But there is just this one opportunity that came, and I took it. So I think being able to invest in people is the biggest thing. Not restricting them from anything they want to pursue, not shutting ideas down, but kind of fostering the growth.
Thank you for watching this episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing. Please make sure to like and share the episode. To view previous episodes, visit manufacturing.net. If you are a member of Gen Z and would like to discuss your experience in the manufacturing industry, please contact Nolan Beilstein at nolan@ien.com.